Hello there and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. My name is Noah and today we're going to be having a look at veterinary schools. Does it matter which one you choose? And if it does, which one do you choose that best suits your needs? Choosing a veterinary school can be one of the single most difficult and confusing sections of the veterinary school application process. There are now 11 different veterinary schools competing for your attention in the UK, and it seems like more are being added every year. So just to run through them, we have the Royal Veterinary College, which is part of the University of London, we have the University of Cambridge, we have the University of Liverpool, the Royal School of Veterinary Studies, which is part of the University of Edinburgh, we have the University of Glasgow, University of Bristol, the University of Nottingham, the University of Surrey, we also have the Harper-Keele Veterinary School, we have Aberystwyth in collaboration with the Royal Veterinary College, and from 2023 there'll be the University of Central Lanarkshire as well. With degrees lasting between 5 and 6 years for the University of Cambridge, choosing the correct veterinary school for you is really important. Just a little disclaimer before we start though, I'm going to cover quite a lot of information in this video, but if you do want more, the BVA website is a really good place to go and it has lots of amazing resources for you. With that out of the way, let's get into it. When you ask many people, they'll tell you that choosing a vet school doesn't really matter. And this is true to some extent because any of the degrees from any of these universities will allow you to work anywhere in the UK. But there are some differences, and today we're going to be looking at 5 of them, ranked from least important to most important. Least importantly, we have rankings, and there are lots of university guides out there, so the Times University Guide, the Guardian University Guide, and these will tell you the university's rankings. Okay, here is the Guardian University Guide with veterinary science here. So, this is one of the ways of doing it, so rankings, and you can see down here we have the rankings for each of the colleges. And you can see also what the rankings are made out of, so percentage of students satisfied with the course, satisfied with the teaching, satisfied with the feedback, student to staff ratios, spend per student out of 10, average entry tariff, so that's your UCAS score of young entrants, and then value added score 10, where they are in their career after months, so the percentage of graduates who find entry level jobs, and then continuing to the second year, so percentage of first year students continue to the second year. So we can see that Edinburgh tops this. And if we go down here, we can see that Aberystwyth is kind of not applicable currently, but we have down to 95.8, so quite high for all of them. Okay, let's move on. So the next factor that we need to consider is location. So where is the veterinary school? And for some people, location will be based on how far away from home the university is. So you might want to be quite close to home, in which case that will limit your decision. But we also have another factor to consider, and that is where the universities actually are. So are they in the city? Are they in the countryside? So for example, RBC is in the middle of London, so very kind of dense city environment. But then we also have something like Harper-Keele. So you can choose to be based at Harper Adams University, and that's in quite a rural location. So you'll get very different university experiences from both of those. And it's really important to choose which one you think will suit you better. So do you think you'd prefer to live in the city, or do you think you'd prefer to live further out into the countryside, for example? Okay, on to the third factor now, and that is living costs. So living costs will matter differently for different people. So in living costs, we're including things like accommodation. So accommodation will obviously cost more in places like London than it will in other cities, but we've also got things to consider like food, and when you go out, how much that costs as well. So living costs will kind of matter differently for different people, but it is quite important for me, and I'm sure it's quite important for a lot of other people as well. So living costs are another factor to consider. Okay, on to the second most important factor now, and this is student satisfaction. So there's 2 ways to look at this. The first way is to go onto the university guide again. So something like the Times University Guide, the Guardian University Guide again, they will have measures of student satisfaction for the course, and that can be really useful. So you can see kind of how they rank communication with the teachers, feedback from work, and kind of an overall satisfaction measure. Back with the Guardian University Guide, and we're going to have a look at student satisfaction. So we can see just over here we have that divided into 3 categories: so satisfied with the course, satisfied with the teaching, satisfied with the feedback. And you can kind of decide for yourself which one is more valuable for you, but if you click on them it will give you the rating, the overall quality of the course rating. So rating for overall quality of the course given by final year students for this overall course, but then also satisfied with the teaching, satisfied with the feedback, and the student staff ratio. So we can see that with regards to these, the actual ranking changes quite a lot. So the previous first one, Edinburgh, which was first, is now third, and the previous second one is now top, followed by the Royal Veterinary College, was originally ranked 8th. So it does quite change a lot as opposed to kind of the general score, and you kind of have to decide which one is more valuable for you. Another way to look at this is to go to open days and things like that for the universities, and you get a chance to ask students what the university is like. So student satisfaction is really, really important because it kind of determines how your actual experience at the university could look. Okay, we're now on to the big one. So this is the most important factor to consider, and it's one that a lot of people just don't really realise, and that is the course themselves. So yes, when you go to university you will come out with the same degree. You'll be able to work anywhere in the UK with the degree that you come out. But the course that you undertake when actually at the university can be really, really different. So for example, some of the more traditional universities like the University of Cambridge follow a much more academic course style. So you'll spend the majority of the first 3 years just kind of looking at academic side of veterinary science, and then you'll spend a lot of time in clinical in the last 2 years. Whereas some of the newer veterinary schools, so something like Harper-Keele for example, Nottingham and Liverpool to an extent, have a much more integrated practical take on the course. So you will start handling animals much earlier on, and you'll start looking at clinical working environments much earlier as well. So it's really important to decide which style of teaching you think will suit you better. So do you want a much more academic style of teaching at the start, or do you want a slightly more practical hands-on experience from the beginning? So that's really important as well. But something else to consider with regards to the course is actually where they let you work after your degree. And again, this will be more important for different people. Some people might only really want to work in the UK, but it's also quite important to think about what you might want to do in the future. So, for example, University of Bristol is accredited by the American Veterinary Association. So that will allow you, or a degree from the University of Bristol will allow you to work in the US from graduation, whereas other universities will allow you to work in other places as well. So that's another thing to consider, so where you might want to work when you finish the course. So it's worth looking at this on the university website. Okay, that's it, we're done again. So hopefully that's been really useful for some of you, and we've covered a lot of the factors that you might want to see when you're looking for a university. If you do have anything else you'd want me to cover though, please leave a comment down below. If you have any kind of tips regarding how I'm filming the videos or my editing of the videos, then please leave a comment down below as well. That would be really, really useful. Also, I'd be really grateful if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel as well. That would be amazing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.